Hey guys, we're back at video 44. In this video, we'll be working on the pieces that make up the handlebars. First thing, we'll need to bring up our trusty Gizmo and pick out the cylinder 3D from the gear. Once you've done that, go ahead and press QC50, followed by scaling it down along the Z axis. You can then start adjusting the shape using the Move Infinite Depth brush. Next up, adjust the poly count for the DynaMesh utility to 0.5. Grab the Clip Curve brush and use the picker to set the resolution and DynaMesh. At this point, we'll want to launch Lightbox and select the Trim Hole brush. You'll need to bring up the Gizmo again and pick the cylinder 3D from the gear. Press QC50 and scale it down along the Z axis once more. Let's inset the flat island, then click to repeat on the back side. Now we're going to Q-mesh the polygroup island. Go ahead and Q-mesh a single poly, then delete the island. Press QC50, clip those bottom polys and press QC50 again. You'll want to unmask the polys and move them downwards. Remember to set the poly count to 0.5 for the DynaMesh utility again. Once done, grab the Clip Curve brush. Mask the model and bring up the Gizmo. From the gear, select Cylinder 3D. Let's rotate it 90 degrees and scale it down. Once you moved it into the right place, invert the mask and split unmasked point. Now press QC50. Mask the bottom and move the top up. Go ahead and inset the flat island. Then Q-mesh the polygroup island and scale the polygroup island. Let's go ahead and press QC50 again. To duplicate the cylinder, hold Ctrl and move with the Gizmo. Unmask the top and move it upwards. Once again, mask the model, bring up the Gizmo, and this time, select the polycube from the gear. Adjust its size and move it into the right place. Set the poly count to 0.5 for the DynaMesh utility once more. Mask the cylinder and grab the Clip Curve brush. Let's go ahead and invert the mask and continue using the Clip Curve brush. Now we'll want to use the picker to set the resolution and then DynaMesh. Let's go ahead and merge the subtools down and DynaMesh it again. You can then use the Clip Curve brush to clean up any issues. Now I can run a polish over your model. Finally, grab the planer brush and finish off with one last polish. Let's go ahead and bring up the Gizmo, then select Cylinder 3D from the gear. Now press QC50. Unmask the front, then hold Ctrl and move with the Gizmo to extrude. Make sure to scale it out a bit and then extrude it once more using the Gizmo. After pressing QC50, let's focus on creasing the edge loops. Then inset the flat island and Q-mesh the polygroup island. Turn on dynamic and press crease PG. We'll need to mask the model once again, then bring up the Gizmo and this time select the polycube from the gear. We're going to invert the mask and split unmasked points now. Go ahead and adjust the size and position. Duplicate it by holding Ctrl and moving with the Gizmo. Once you scaled it up in the Z-axis, invert the mask again and split unmasked points. We're going to go ahead and slice in a couple edge loops. Then mask out the edges and position them into place. Go ahead and press QC50. Scale it on the X-axis and press Ctrl W to group visible. Let's add a few edge loops here and then Q-mesh a single poly. Then we can alt tag the polys to transpose. Press QC50 and uncrease the top edge. Grab the Move Infinite Depth brush to make some adjustments to your model. Let's mask the model, bring up the Gizmo, and from the gear, select Cylinder 3D. Press QC50, rotate it by 90 degrees, and adjust its size and position. Hold Ctrl and move with the Gizmo to duplicate the model. Now we can scale and position it into place. Let's press Auto Groups, then Control-click to mask with the Gizmo. Now we can control and move with the Gizmo to duplicate. Let's go ahead and repeat these steps a few more times. Delete the flat island, and for the edge action, select Close, choose Convex Hull and Circle for the target, and Interactive Curvature for the modifier. Let's press Auto Groups again, Control-click with the Gizmo to mask, and then scale it in the Z-axis. Press QC50 and insert multiple edge loops for all the subtools. Let's merge all the subtools down. Lower the crease level to 3. And set the polygon count to 0.5 for the DynaMesh utility. Let's run it polish. And then press Ctrl W to group visible. Now we're going to use the picker to set our resolution. Let's bring up our gizmo again and give it a 45-degree rotation. From the gear, let's select the polycube. Then invert the mask and split unmasked points. Go ahead and adjust its size and position to fit the model. Next we'll add in 4 edge loops using insert multiple edge loops. Slide those edges inward on both sides. Q-mesh the middle poly downwards and hold the shift key to switch to a move operation. We need to mask the model and bring up the gizmo again. This time from the gear, select Cylinder 3D. Rotate it 90 degrees and scale it in the Z-axis. After this, inset the flat island. Then we can Q-mesh the polygroup island. Q-mesh the single poly to delete the top half. Then we can press auto groups. Isolate the top island and split hidden. Let's go ahead and alt tag the bottom polys to transpose. Hold Ctrl and move with the gizmo to extrude. After clearing the mask, press QC50. Add in a couple edge loops using insert multiple edge loops. Switch to the other subtool and insert a few edge loops. Now we can press QC30. Now we're going to merge the subtool down. Next we want to alt click on the point to orientate the gizmo. Shift click the arrow on the gizmo to align the camera to the gizmo's orientation. Let's grab the clip curve brush. Then we can unmask the edges and scale them out in the x-axis. Set the poly count to 0.5 for the DynaMesh utility. Now we can run a polish over your model. Let's merge the subtool down. Use the picker to set the resolution and DynaMesh. Grab the planer brush to level the top. Now we can mask the model, bring up the gizmo, and from the gear, select Cylinder 3D. Rotate it 90 degrees and scale it down. Let's go ahead and set the H divides to 100. Invert the mask and split unmasked points. Bring up the gizmo again and from the gear, select the extender. Q-mesh the 2 polys and delete the island. Now we can Q-mesh the 2 polys out. Go ahead and adjust the size and position. Merge the subtool down and DynaMesh. Next, we're going to run a polish and press Ctrl W to group visible. Smooth out the corner and run another polish.